In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, Christ is in our midst. When I was in the seminary, there was a bishop who was there from Greece. His name was Bishop Hierosimos of Avbidou, and he was probably one of the most pious clergymen I've ever met in my life, and I think every other student and clergyman who were at the seminary at the time felt the same way. His peacefulness, his grace was, you could feel it. It was palpable. He was just an extraordinary figure. It wasn't how much he said, it was how he said it and how it came across and the feeling that you got when you listened to him. It was inspiring just to be around him and to see him. He was very simple, very kind, very firm when he needed to be. And when he passed away, we were at the seminary and he was buried on the grounds right outside the chapel. Everybody had the same question. When is he going to be dug up to find out that he's a saint? And I think that question still goes today. But the reason I bring this up for you is because he didn't really drive ever, not that I remember, and he would have seminarians take him to different places if he needed to go somewhere. And he was invited to someone's house during Lent, and this woman made dinner, and the seminarian was with him, and she put the dinner on the table, and he was talking with her, and he's proceeding to eat everything that was served to him. And the seminarian didn't touch his meal at all because there was meat, and it was Lent. And the bishop ate everything, absolutely everything. And the seminarian on the way back said, "Why did you do that?" And he responded, "Why did you do that?" And he told the seminarian, he said, "This lady, out of the kindness of her heart, made a meal and forgot. Not out of malice, not out of trying to break the fast for the bishop, but out of kindness and love, she prepared the meal. And she lost track of what those things are." And I think we all do that once in a while. You're eating something and you're like, "Uh-oh, it's Wednesday." Or it's Friday, as you put the last, or as you're cutting into it and you got it in your mouth, you're like, "It's Wednesday." You know, just finish it off, right? It's like, I should have remembered that 10 minutes from now. So she served it to him, but he ate it. And he ate it because he didn't want to be rude. He didn't want to be disrespectful. He didn't want the woman to weep and say, "I'll never have another clergyman over at my home," or "I'll never be able to talk to him again or show my face in front of him because I made a mistake." Lent and coming into the Great Fast has to be approached with a sense of dignity, a sense of moderation, and also an extreme sense of prayer. It's not, unfortunately, as many people think, the Orthodox weight loss program. Because if you have pasta and noodles, chances are your carb intake is going to go way beyond what it was the other times of the year. So you may gain weight during Lent, even though you are fasting or eating less, because you're eating different things that you're not used to. It's also a time, too, when we don't go out and have shellfish everywhere and lobster. I remember as being a young priest and taking out a clergyman who came to visit. And we went to a restaurant, and I ordered spaghetti, and he ordered a lobster. And he says, "But it's Lent." And I said, "But it's $60, you know, is what the thing is." So it was a big difference in the approach. Now, I'm not saying this so that you don't fast. I'm saying this so that you do fast. But when you fast, let your fast be in secret. Let it be private, as the gospel says today. Wash your face, brush your teeth, comb your hair, take care of yourself. Don't walk around and say, "Oh, it's so difficult." And don't walk around and say, "Only 14 more days and I can have a burger." Or "I can't wait to put meat across my lips again." Or "My coffee tastes so bad and I can't wait to put milk back in it." Don't do that to yourself, because it erases what you're doing. Keep yourself struggling, and the discipline in fasting is the discipline of controlling what goes into your mouth so that you can control what comes out of your mouth. So if we are controlling what goes into our mouths, but we still can't control what comes out of our mouth because we're controlling what goes into our mouth, I mean, that's a lot of back and forth, isn't it? But if you're having your coffee without cream and you're drinking it resenting the fast, that's not working for you. Something's off. So it might be that prayer is not the preeminent thing that is taking over in your life. When we think about fasting too, many times people, especially coming from other traditions, Christian traditions and non-Christian traditions, will say, what's the fast? How come this is a man-made thing? Well, if you look back at Moses, when he went up, and it was actually chanted in the Orthros service this morning as well, when Moses went up to receive the tablets of the Ten Commandments, how long was he there? 2 days? 3 days? 10 days? 4 hours? 40 days. That's what he was up there for. And it says in Exodus that as he was up there getting this encounter with God, that he ate no bread, no water for 40 days. Why? Because he was fueled with the immediate presence of God. It wasn't that he just stopped eating and walked around Nashville and said, well, I'm not going to eat for 40 days. He was encountering God in an intimate way, and in that way was fueled. It wasn't just that he said, well, I'm not going to eat. He was fueled by the words, as we hear, that come from the mouth of God. So in that, he received sustenance. The same thing with Christ when he fasted for 40 days before he started his ministry. He ate nothing. He drank nothing. Why? Because he's fueled by being God and by the presence of prayer. You cannot fast without praying. Don't do that to yourself. Otherwise, it's just a weight loss program. It's a regiment of discipline, a thing that you try to conquer instead of a thing that is used to help you grow. So prayer is critical. And when Moses came down from the mountain, do you recall what happened? People saw him and they were turning their face because it was so bright, because the radiance of the presence of God was in him. And then after he spoke to the people, do you know what he did? He put a veil over his face so that the brightness of his face wasn't disturbing to others. He puts a veil over his face because the presence of God was so great. When you fast, you have to pray. And you have to start out, too, in a way that is manageable for you, and pacing yourself, and realize it's not just a quick sprint, it's a long marathon, as is the Christian life. It's not a quick little thing that you get, and it's all perfect, and you're saved, and you don't have to do anything else. It's a constant struggle. No one in any relationship in life ever says, I did enough. I don't need to do anything else. I told my wife or my husband I love them enough. I told my kids that enough. I helped my family enough. I gave them enough support when they needed it. I'm done. No one does that. And likewise, in our relationship with God, we can never say we've done enough. We have to keep doing. We have to keep trying. We have to keep struggling. And fasting is that discipline to control what our hands are doing. Many times people think it's just about you grab the label and you read the label and, oh, this has, partially hydrogenated milk or whatever. Let's put this over here. And then they go watch Wives of L.A. or whatever the thing is on TV as they're eating their Oreos, because those are the official cookie of fasting, right? Balance. In Greek, there's a phrase that the early philosophers said, pan metron ariston, everything in moderation. So as you fast all the way around. Fast from what you look at, from what you say, even how you think, to not engage the temptations that are around us and step back. I always tell people, if you are confused about fasting, just remember it's the opposite of the word. It's slowing down. Fasting is slowing down. Slow down your mind. Slow down your actions. Slow down your responses. Slow down your food intake. Slow down all the media that we consume and grow in the other ways. approaching God and trying to work on a relationship that he's given us specific time of the year as an opportunity to grow. And remember that it's important. Fasting is important, prayer is important, our relationship with God should be the primary thing in our life that we're concerned about. So don't look sad about fasting. Don't be, oh, here we go again. Or I can't wait for this to be over with. Embrace it. Embrace it through prayer. And when you prayerfully embrace fasting and prayerfully embrace the life of the church, then it transforms us where we become glowing. And people look and say, what is that person doing? I want some of that. I want what they have. And many times you can't put your finger on it. As I said about Bishop Gerasimos, you couldn't put your finger on what it was other than the presence of God. And I remember another story about him when he went to Texas, I believe it was, with a group of seminarians, and somebody had like some ranch. And he's walking outside. He was very he just walked in his robe, and he was walking outside, and a bull came running at him and some of the seminarians. And all the seminarians, in true fashion, ran away and left him there. And as they were running away, they're like looking back, and they're like, he's not coming with us. There's a problem. Now this bull's running at this whole group. And Bishop Gerasimos, and this is accounted for by a lot of people, said, as the bull was coming to him, he goes, "Stop!" And the bull stopped, and he started petting the bull. Because of what? We read about that with the lives of the fathers and the mothers of the church, this communication with animals, this peacefulness inside that translates. So what he had, everybody wanted. And what he did was a simple approach to prayer, to fasting, to the spiritual life, going down the middle, not going extreme one way, not going extreme the other way, but right down the middle and following the words of God. So as you approach this Lenten season, if you have questions about how to do that, how to fast, how to pray, let me know. I'll guide you as best as I can. But remember, it's a marathon. And tonight we have the Vespers service. It starts at 5 o'clock for the Forgiveness Vespers, where we come before God and we say, I'm sorry, forgive me, and to start new so that Clean Monday is really a clean start. So if you're able to join for that service tonight, that would be wonderful. But remember to fast by slowing down everything around in your life. Amen. O po si po të kratë të supandët e filat omini si do kësana në pempo men,